Please give a warm welcome to the hosts of Alternate Ending. Hello, hello. How's it going? Hey, there she is.
There.
Hey, Kourtney. How's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing well. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can.
I'm so sorry. Rob is way more tech savvy than I am. So he's like, I'm going to get this cool background. And I'm now sweating because I was trying to also have one and I am not. So it's just the actual background over here. So
That's so weird. I've been working on a podcast with a friend. So we've been trying to change the backgrounds too. And I do not understand technology. I'm trying to figure out what these things are.
I know.
So you that's good.
Oh, good.
Well, part of it was because, Kourtney, I'm Rob, by the way, and that's obviously Carrie. We're husband and wife duo podcast interviewers for Alternate Ending, which is a kind of a cinephile's destination for reviews, podcast videos, and more. But given that, obviously the unique circumstances that we're all living in, I felt bad that you weren't getting the full red carpet treatment with the premiere of Don't Look Back. So I wanted to roll out the red carpet for you.
Just continue to layer on the guilt for me that I don't have one. I appreciate that. But I'm glad we're all here. So congratulations. We're so excited to talk to you about what looks to be your first major role in a feature.
Yes.
Which is super, super awesome. Like, huge accomplishment. So we're excited to talk about that.
How are things been going? How have you been faring? You said that sounds like you're occupying your time now with a podcast as well too. So is that how you've been kind of dealing with, as an actress? I imagine that most actresses are extroverts. Or thespians in general are extroverts. So like this time where of isolation and everything like that, it's got to be tough.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, I can't think. I feel like it's a pretty good mix of being introverted and extroverted, but even the introverts, like you have to train yourself to be extroverted. But I'm just extrovert through and through. It's driving me crazy not being able to talk to new people. And just, I love going out and hearing people's stories. So the podcast has actually been a really beneficial way of figuring out random ways to just talk to new people for absolutely no reason other than like, here's a common, something that we have in common. And now we can discuss it. So that's actually been really helpful.
Yeah, such a good way to connect. I feel like Rob and I are opposite because I'm like you. I'm like a bucket. Like I get together, we're going to chat about this and I'm going to be like, I feel so much better. I don't know why I was kind of depressed earlier. I don't even understand. And then like slowly as time goes on, it'll just sort of like melt away. And for Rob, he's sort of, you're sustaining. You can sustain.
I'm okay. This like things could be worse. Like my version of this would be, constantly be around lots of people because I get I guess they describe extroversion, introversion as like where you get your energy from. Like at the end of a long day, when you're tired, what do you want to go do? And I just want to go back home and curl up and watch a movie or something. And Carrie is, I want to go hang out with my friends at a bar.
This is true. This is very true. All right.
I'm exactly the same way. I get you, Carrie.
I see. So,
well, I do want to get to Don't Look Back, but first you mentioned a podcast. Feel free. Like, I'd love to know more.
Love to hear about it.
Like, how did this come about? Obviously, we're podcasters. We'd welcome passing along any notes, but we're not very good at what we do. So I don't know. If anything, we'd be gleaning from your expertise.
Yeah. What's the
No,
premise?
I'm sure I need to take notes from you guys. We've only filmed 3 episodes. I don't know how much I can say about it name-wise yet because we're in the middle of trying to sell it.
Oh,
right.
So, yeah, I have to lock it in. But without giving too much information, it will be on my social media pages soon. We just wanted to find a place to focus on the energy of the Gen Z millennial crazy comedy. I think the older my friend and I, we started together, the older we get, we're like, oh, we have to be serious, professional voice all the time, always dropped in. We're like, we don't laugh as much as we used to.
Yeah.
Is that bad? Like, should we do something about this? I feel like we're always talking about our art, which is wonderful and we love it. We're like, let's just get out of that world for a second. Let's get out of our heads and just be a little bit crazy because we're still young. Like we have the right to do that. So that's how we got into it.
That's fantastic.
Good for you. We'll look forward to hearing about that. Speaking of social media, like normally we try to do, a good bit of due diligence, investigation. You're fairly off the grid, I got to say. Like I wasn't able to find, too much. So I thought just to set the stage with those listening, tell us a little bit about your background and how you came into the field of acting. Many of our listeners are in the profession themselves or just getting started in the
Studying
profession,
it now.
studying
Yeah.
either, acting or directing or producing or, some piece of the film place. So that they'd love to hear kind of like how you got your start.
Yeah, of course. Well, I think most simply, like many others, I decided I wanted to be an actor when I was 7. I was just like abnormally young to just decide, what you want to do for the rest of your life. And I don't know if you keep doing it because you really want to, or you feel like you made that decision and now you have to stick to it. But I was in a play. I was in Once Upon a Lily Pad, and that was it for
That
me.
was
I
enough.
was little Freddie. It was
Now,
my
what grade?
whole life changed.
What grade was this in?
I was in the first grade.
Oh, first grade. Okay.
I was in the first grade. So from there, I grew up in Michigan, Farmington Hills, Michigan. It's truly as exciting as it sounds. It's not a small town, but like it's a suburb. There's not much going on there. So we would spend our time just entertaining ourselves with random weird things, making YouTube videos. That's when it really first got popular, when I was in elementary school, middle school. I started professionally acting when I was in high school, but there's still not much in Michigan that's happening.
Yeah.
So I basically made an agreement with my parents at a very young age that if I wanted to pursue acting, they would help me. They would let me move to the city. But for them, they wanted me to experience what it was like to go to college. I was not happy about it. But they were like, you just have to go for one semester. So I went to the University of Michigan, which is an amazing public school. And while I was there, I had never really looked into theater schools, but I realized that they had one of the top theater and musical theater departments in the world. So I took a non-major acting class and I just fell in love with it. I was like, I've never heard people talk about acting as if it's a craft.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than this is just something that I think is really exciting and fun and makes me feel special. So I went to Los Angeles for a little bit. It was a hard decision at the time. So grateful that I did it, but I went back to the University of Michigan. And that's really what got like my big start on everything of truly taking it seriously. So they set you up to really think about this as a profession. It's a job. It's a craft. You're going to take this seriously. Every single person can make it. We can't all be Brad Pitt or Angelina, but everybody can be a working actor and be fine. You can pay your bills doing this if you take it seriously. So we had a showcase. I graduated about 2.5 years ago now. I was very lucky. I was very fortunate. I got my representation there. And so I've been auditioning and working on projects ever since.
Oh, that's awesome.
Perfect. And how did you get paired up with Don't Look Back? So I'll set the stage too with everyone as it's coming out on October 16th. Don't Look Back is a feature where it focuses on a really interesting topic that Carrie and I often morally debate ourselves, and this is the kind of phenomenon of bystander effect. And the film follows you as the lead character witnessing a horrific crime along with others. And then events start occurring to those that have witnessed it. Is it supernatural? Is it something else? Who knows? The movie kind of goes into that. But how did you get paired up with this role in particular? Because it's really interesting. It's from the creator of Final Destination, and I was curious too if you've actually seen those films.
I have seen them now. I knew that it was going to be a very useful tool to work on this project, of course. But I'm horrified of horror films. I avoid them at all costs. It's not for me. But I got involved in this project. Honestly, I threw an audition. I auditioned for the project. I really connected with the specific material that I got for the audition. I don't want to give too much away, but it was one of the specifically emotional driven scenes where I'm trying to connect to another person. And I was like, okay, we did this in school. Like I get how this works. So I was able to lead with my gut from that, got the part, and honestly was just thrown into this like crazy experience. Cause like you said in the beginning, I've worked on a couple of things before, but never to this scale. I've never been in a film that was this long, let alone the lead of one. And so I did my research as much as possible, watched the old films, talked to Jeffery a lot. Our director, Jeffery Reddick, was incredibly helpful. I don't know if I would have been able to push through with confidence without him.
So so knowing that, like you said, he was able to instill some confidence in you, like as we all need when you're starting any new project, you probably have things that you know, are nervous about or self-conscious about. Like, I guess, how did he have any methods or things that he did that made you feel more confident in the role?
I mean, to be honest, he just made himself incredibly accessible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily know how lucky actors are on a consistent basis to always get that, because the director is juggling so many parts. But I think he knew what he was getting into when he took me on right from the beginning. So he was basically like, you can call me at any hour of the day and I will answer. And I truly would call him at like 3 a.m. while I was prepping. I have a question on page 17.
You're not busy right now, are you? You're not doing anything.
He's the same way. Like, he sleeps for like 4 hours and then he's up working on things. So he was like, let's talk about it. Let's get into it.
Awesome.
That was the most beneficial thing. Or even while we were on set, he would always make time. If there was a moment where I was like, I'm feeling very confused right now, even still in this area. He would figure out a way, like, I know we're on a time crunch, you guys, but we're going to step away and we're going to talk. Yeah. We're going to figure it out.
Yep. That's awesome. Yeah. I know, Rob, you already said the bystander effect. And like you already said, we won't go into the details, but that's one of the things that we really connected with, I think, like right out of the gate, because Rob and I have had this exact experience ourselves where you have to make a choice on whether or not you stand back or whether or not you get involved. And I get where these things happen, like in the society that we're in now. I think it's just really relevant. In Rob's particular case, he jumped in and then I felt terrible because I didn't. So then I had to unpack all of that later of like, I froze. And Rob's like a jump to action person. And then I'm like, why did you, I should have done the same thing. And I didn't. And it kind of conjured up. I mean, that has happened to us a couple times and you always are a jump inner.
Well, that's very sweet to say. To be fair, Kourtney, I'm very cerebral in that, like, I like to think through things. So I want to say that the bystander effect is not necessarily cowardice, because I think that it could be, right? That's like one possible thing.
I think that's me.
Well, give yourself a break. Like a lot of it is like thinking through what you're going to do. And for me, I'm a type A planner. I like have to know ahead of time that I want to jump into action versus like being put on the spot. So, but there are probably people who instinctually like just react. Yeah. And like, I don't know if I'm that person, like in the situation that you're describing where we were traveling overseas and an older lady fell over.
Those terrible cobblestone streets. They're just terrible.
Oh, no.
And she fell and people just stood around and started taking like photos and stood there and did nothing. And I would never take photos, but I froze because I didn't know what to do. We don't speak the language. And Rob, of course, like runs into a store and starts using broken German. And he's like, I'm counting, you were probably counting numbers. I don't know.
Who knows?
To get an ambulance to come. But I just remember this whole movie sort of spurred that conversation again of like, are we still those people? Do we still do those things?
Well,
now?
and where do you fall on that line? I don't know if you've experienced the bystander effect or witnessed it yourself, but are you a jump into action instinctually? Do you have to think about it, but you'll do it? Or do you kind of like I'm sure someone will help, right? Like, I'll just stand back.
Right. Well, people always say fight or flight. But I'm freeze. I don't know if there is a third category. But like my friends will joke, if somebody ever broke into our apartment, one of them will fight off the person, the other one will try to run, and will have to like scoop me up and move me because I will forget to like speak. Like I don't react. It's not a normal experience. So in your situation, what you said, I mean, watching someone fall over also feels so different than watching someone get beaten up. Like, I think we still have to understand that we're humans with brains that are trying to process the situation that's happening in front of us. I don't necessarily know if I would have jumped in the times that I have seen, living in Los Angeles, people getting into a fight. My first reaction is to walk away. Yeah. I want to get a safe enough distance because we know what the world we're in right now and how dangerous increased in many different ways with violence and gun violence. I don't want to be nearby. I don't want to be close because I can't do anything if I'm hurt. I'm a small person. What am I going to do? Throw a punch? That's not going to,
Right.
I don't think that's going to stop anyone. It's not going to stop the situation. So if I can get space, I can give myself time to take out my phone and call the police.
Right.
So I think it's one thing if you're taking out your phone to film, or sometimes people film something because they know someone else is calling. So you're filming. So you can help that person later if they need to use it in court.
Right.
So I just say that everybody is, what I really liked about this film is you literally have this one character in front of you who you know her background. So I'm judging myself, but the audience, I assume, is not judging me because you know what I was going through.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we don't know the background of the other people who witnessed. So it's interesting that even still, it's so easy to judge them for what they quote unquote did wrong. And the whole story is throwing it in your face that did she really do something wrong? You don't know what other people are going through in their lives. It's easy to think somebody's being evil when in actuality, I think we're all just trying to do our best and we don't always make the best decisions.
Yeah, everybody's it's a very quick to judge culture for sure. And you mentioned, being afraid of horror movies. Obviously, it's horror season upon us as well too. What was interesting is we're really lucky in this in this particular genre where there's so many elevated works coming out where it focuses on things beyond just the jump scare. And in this one, there's really a emotional aspect to it that you touched on, where there's some trauma. There's also the guilt factor. So it gives you a lot to play with, I would imagine, as an actor as well, too.
Oh, 100%. If I'm going to watch a horror film now, it is going to be a psychological thriller like The Babadook or...
Oh, you love that one.
Midsommar. Have you guys seen those?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
If I want to really freak out Rob, and I want to get under his skin, I'll just start doing The Babadook. Like the Babadook. And he gets really upset. He's like, don't do that. Like, that's really mean. That's really mean. He's like, it freaks me out.
I'm jealous. Our film critic has a copy. Apparently the director had to raise money for it. One of the Kickstarter rewards was getting an actual Babadook book, which... Yeah, I'd want it, but then every time I pass it on my bookshelf, I would be very regretful of having it.
And then all of a sudden you hide it away and then someone else finds it 80 years later and then all of a sudden that's the beginning
again. That's right.
So we're curious, Kourtney, what is a press junket? I mean, obviously we're doing one now for the interview, but are you having a release party? What are you doing to celebrate this film and this accomplishment? Do you have any plans?
No.
Oh, come on. There's got to be a party.
I would love to. I could have a Zoom gathering, but I wouldn't want to gather people and risk getting them sick just to watch. This is the nice thing. The nice excuse for me is that I've noticed a lot of my favorite actors always say they don't watch the things that they were in a year or two later just for the sake of, you don't want to spiral out into a sad pit of self-criticism. So I think I'm going to ask my friends and family to watch it, promote it as much as possible. And then I'm just going to save this experience for a little bit later. But I can just say it's not my fault. It's not my choice. It's just because of
the world crumbling around us. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, we also loved, the other folks that you were playing alongside, I think did a fantastic job of bringing exactly what you said to life. Like the different personas were very real and you sort of felt yourself trying to take sides with those different personas that I think were played out really well. Obviously the relationship. So you're in a relationship with Skyler Hart in the movie. Did you know him going into this or was this all new in meeting him?
All new. I met him. So they had me fly in for a chemistry read. And they had, I think I read maybe with about 5 or so guys. I was able to talk to all of them outside in the hallway before we went in and did a couple of the scenes together. And honestly, I knew it was going to be Skyler when we spoke because there were other guys. I mean, all of the guys were amazing performers. They were all great. And it was actually a really good learning experience for me as an actor because you can see it's, there's so many reasons why you don't end up getting a part. Like one guy was just way too tall. He was great, but it was not going to match up that way. Or somebody else had another project that conflicted. It's just all, different random reasons. But Skyler and I just had a really great conversation while we were in the hall. So when we went in the room together, even though I had the part already, I just wasn't nervous when I was acting with him. And I could tell that he wasn't nervous, which then calmed me down even more. So it was, it was a chemistry read. That was just the person I, happened to have the best chemistry with. He's
also not the worst looking person I've ever
really
seen.
Does.
So you guys together were a great combination. We were loving that too. So I'm glad. Like, it's interesting. I didn't realize that was a part of the process of, like, you're really making your assessment too. Like, that's such a smart move because chemistry, it's probably so much easier if the chemistry is organic versus having to create it. So how great, like, go out, chat, mingle, see where you connect, where you get laughs, and then you're going to set yourself up for success. So,
which I was lucky. I got to ask Jeffrey. I requested that Jeffrey would let me do that, and he said that it was okay. I don't know if that's a normal thing in chemistry reads. From any other experience I've had, it's definitely not. And I was like, I don't know why we don't do this more. Because you're not walking in like, hi, we just met and now we have to make out on a chair.
Right.
Talk for a second. Hi, nice to meet you.
Remind me your name. Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of chemistry, I'm going to put Carrie in an uncomfortable position here. So you saw the Final Destination films as well too. In the first film, it stars Devon Sawa. That is Carrie's, like, her pass. Like, if she gets a pass, apparently she's using it on Devon Sawa. I need to know, is this also? I think we're a few years removed from our time frames when this movie came out. But what do you think, heartthrob? In your estimation, Kourtney?
I would say yes for them. I don't know what he looks like now. You never know.
Oh, I've looked him up. So I had heard buzz that it wasn't going well. So I had heard that buzz. But I beg to differ. I checked out there and I think he's doing just fine. I mean, how old were we when that came out? I don't want to date ourselves here, but
we were in high school.
Were we in high school?
Yeah, I'd say so. But I think what for Carrie, it was he played the voice of Casper.
Oh my gosh!
Like a very early 90s.
Christina Ricci and him play side by side. You only see him in the very end, and it's just a little flash. And I just remember being like, "That's it. Like,
that's the one for me.
If he calls me tomorrow, I'm leaving. I'm leaving town." And so when I saw him again in Predestination, I was excited.
I think my heartthrob of the day now is Noah Centineo. That's
very good.
Oh my gosh! Now
you've seen his face?
Oh, of course.
Well, you gotta show me his face.
Carrie will recognize the face. He's got a lot of things coming up too. I think he was recently cast in the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson film Black Adam as a character, I believe. And he's in that indie romantic comedy on Netflix that we like.
I just saw. He's in The Perfect. Oh, To All the Girls I've Loved Before, and then he's in The Perfect Date.
The Perfect Date as well, where he creates that app.
He did. Yeah. Oh, he was super sweet in that too.
We've put that out there in the world, so whatever fate or karma may come of that. Maybe it'll bring you two together in a future film.
That's a good choice
because I could see that. Taste. I could see that chemistry for sure playing out.
That's awesome. No, I'm just looking at pictures of him. So
I know I would get stuck. I didn't pull out my phone.
He was up for He-Man too. He was gonna be the new Masters of the Universe. So Noah walking around shirtless for 2 hours.
Wouldn't be the worst thing.
Not a problem.
What more can we ask for?
Well, that's right. So now that like you said, the movie's over and you've wrapped up with that. What other things are you looking towards, or what other things do you have on the horizon that you're working on?
I was on season 2 of All American. That's a show on the CW that is also on Netflix. And I'm working on my podcast, but I find it so interesting just with how everybody's career is being affected at this time. I was at a place where I had a lot of momentum, and I had a couple of potential things in the works, and everything is kind of halted. So technically speaking, I don't know what will and won't pan out with, the longer time goes by with us feeling stuck like this. So I'm just trying my best to dabble in other forms of art right now. Cause why not?
Sit?
And it's kind of nice. Yeah. I mean, I felt myself getting to a place where I'm like, oh, I'm watching my career just go in a way that I'm so fortunate because I wouldn't have imagined that happening as quickly as it did. And then it kind of paused and I was like, oh, I have some time to breathe and recalibrate and figure out what exactly I want from my life because I am so young.
Yeah.
I want to travel more, I don't know how many people feel that way when they're in their mid 20s, but it's actually, I'm not happy that this is happening.
Yeah.
But I am finding some benefit from it for myself.
Oh, it's great that you're able to reflect and then, try some other pursuits that, you wouldn't have been able to try. So whether it's podcasting or writing or reading more or, hopefully traveling again soon, certainly. We certainly envision a time when this is all over. And then, if acting is where you choose to continue to go, like obviously you're super talented. We loved your work.
Yeah, it was so good.
Yeah. And we really enjoyed the movie quite a bit. So
I'm happy you enjoyed it.
Yeah. And I'm curious too, Halloween's around the corner. Our family is doing a Face Your Fear costume theme. So our girls have picked Alice is a witch, right? Our youngest. Our middle child is like Annabelle Creation type creepy
scary doll. Yeah.
I'm going as the girl from The Ring, Samara from The Ring. Carrie is afraid of snakes.
I'm going as a snake.
If you were going to wear a costume of your biggest fear, what do you have anything that pops into mind?
Oh, this is so annoyingly psychological, but I would just dress as an actor. I mean, I don't know what that even means, but I feel like I'm pursuing the thing that scares me the most every day.
Oh, good for you. It's putting yourself out there.
It is. It's a lot.
It's challenging.
Or honestly, snakes too.
Snakes, yeah. There's one on Amazon that's inflatable. So you it wraps around you and then it looks like it's eating your face and then you inflate it. So it's like live while it's on you. I'm actually kind of afraid to even put it on because I really don't even I won't even touch a picture of a snake. Like if I see one, I'm like, so.
The inflatable sounds kind of cute.
What's that?
I said the inflatable snake sounds kind of cute.
It is cute, but I'm still afraid. So we'll see how that pans out.
And if you're looking for a way to celebrate, particularly if you have acting friends, I recently took part in a virtual murder mystery where an improv person kind of helps coordinate. You get dossiers. So that's a fun way to get together virtually. And you still have to solve the case. And so that might be a little bit of fun we want to make sure that you're celebrated for this accomplishment. We're really excited for everyone to check out Don't Look Back, coming to video on demand on October 16th. And we appreciate you taking the time to sit with us. Excited about your podcast. We'll be on the lookout on all your social media channels to be on the lookout for that and pick up some good podcasting tips.
Yes, thank you. And hopefully, if out of this time there is a number 2 of this film, then I'll see you guys again.
Oh, we're expecting nothing less than at least the minimum Final Destination number of films for Don't Look Back.
You have 12 more to go. So
exactly.
And once your podcast is up and running, if you we'd be happy to have you back on for a top 5. We do top 5s as well as other things, a variety of different things across different channels. So we'd love to have you back for that.
I would love that. I'll reach out to you guys and let you know as soon as it's released.
Top 5 Noah Centino films.
Yes, I'm in. You're not going to be on that episode though, Rob. Well, thanks, Kourtney, for catching up with us. It was great talking to you.
Thank you. It was nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too. Take care. Bye.